Welcome back to Amoeba Doctor Podcast. This is a really wrinkled shirt. Didn't realize it was so wrinkled before I put it on. I don't really have a theme or anything. You know, that last one that I did, people really got a lot out of. They're like, oh man, this is such a great podcast. And I appreciate that. You know, it's nice when people can learn from the shit that you put yourself through. What did he do? Sorry, I got a haircut just yesterday. I'm admiring the handiwork of my barber. So, anyway. Oh, my internship, I guess it could have ended today if I so chose, but because I have a 255-hour requirement that I have to meet. Basically, I have to spend 255 hours over the course of the summer. It's about a 7 to 8 week period. In the courthouse or working on the courthouse or doing something of that sort. And so I met those hour requirements today. But I'm going to come back and finish out the week because I have an assignment from my judge that I haven't done yet. So I'll finish that out. Kind of like D-ring. I really look like shit in this, honestly. The lint ruler's not helping. My room, you can't see this, I guess because it's a small room and there's the only shelf space is this right here, but my room is a real mess right now. There's like 8 things out of place. 8 things out of place. That's a real mess. Oh, that's right. I need to, actually, you know what? Fuck it. One of the problems I have with dress shirts, you can't see this very well because this isn't a great color thing, but the collars, I sweat a lot. Okay, there you go. You see that? That's sweat. That's dried sweat. I sweat a lot. Put this belt up. And, you know, that's normally not a problem, but during the summertime, when you've got a suit jacket, undershirt, and that shirt on, and that's 105 out, and you're in a car with no AC for 30 minutes at a time, it becomes a problem. So I'll probably have to toss those white shirts. I don't think you can bleach those. I went to the Men's Warehouse, actually. Men's Warehouse is a men's dress clothing store. And I did some research on them, and I was like, do you guys have any sprays or anything? I was told that there was a spray that breaks down proteins in clothes, which is perfect for getting rid of sweat stains. I went to the Men's Warehouse, and I explained, I was like, do you have anything that can treat sweat stains? They're like, nope, sorry, we only sell suits and shirts and whatnot. And I'm like, let me get this straight. You're a clothing store for highly expensive, high-maintenance clothes, and you have nothing to maintain it with. Really? They're like, yep. And then, wait a sec. We can go to the Men's Warehouse online store. I hate online stores. I think they're a pain in the ass. We can go to the online store and see what they have. And they had this like 4-ounce bottle for $200. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking serious? Like, this was 2 weeks ago. So I was like, all right, well, I got 2 weeks left of my internship. And I'm not going to spend more than $20 on this because, you know. So that was irritating. It's very irritating. I don't know what, I mean, I guess I do know what it is, but like over this last couple of, probably last 3 years, went from slightly before the pandemic. I'd say probably about 6 months pre-pandemic. And then extending into today. But there's just all these businesses have just terrible service. Just terrible service. Nobody wants to make a sale. Nobody helps the customer at all. Nobody does any of that. I'm just like, dude, come on. You know, and that happens a lot when the economy gets good. When there's more than enough business to go around, nobody has hustle. And the companies that and now we have a labor shortage that is only going to be solved by the impending recession. I mean, we've had pretty bad inflation, probably close to 30% inflation if you do the math over the last year. The recession is already starting to hit. But when that recession really, then that labor shortage is going to be solved, because a lot of jobs are going to be destroyed, and a lot of people who were slacking off these last couple of years and being like, oh, it'll be fine, I don't have to work, then they'll be shit out of luck. This is why, I mean, this is what I've been telling people, like, look, when you're young, I know it sucks. I know it sucks, especially because these last 5 years or so have been really great. Good economy, and didn't seem like you needed to work, but you do. You gotta stash up money. You gotta stash up resources. More importantly, well, you know what the most valuable, I'm going to talk economics here. You know what the most valuable asset is during a labor shortage? I'm sorry, not a labor shortage. Do you know what the most valuable asset is during a recession? When there are more people than jobs? Do you know what the absolute most valuable asset you can possibly have during a recession is? Not gold. Money? Nope, not money. A good resume. You have a good resume. Think about it like this. I was 10 years old when the 2008 recession started. And as weird as it is to say, I remember it pretty well, actually. I observed a lot of the socioeconomic changes firsthand. The thing that happened during the last recession, and the recession before that, and the recession before that, was that overqualified people ended up in underqualified jobs. We had, and this is the case in most countries permanently, like in India, you have PhDs applying for low-level bureaucratic government positions. But what happens is that McDonald's gets a lot of applications from undergrad, from people with full college degrees. And the people with college degrees apply for manager jobs, but they're desperate, so they take, the minimum wage jobs. They take the whatever jobs, the ones that make ends meet, but are not going to look good on a resume once the recession's over. Because let's say you're an anthropology degree holder and you're working at whatever you're working at, I don't know. And then you lose your job, and then it's a recession, because anthropology is not a high capital turnover job type, we'll say. And so it's like, well, shit, I need to find a job and fast. I have mouths to feed. I have bills to pay. I need to find a job. And so what's the job that's always jobbing? McDonald's or Walmart or any of those other, bottom rung places. And so you apply to McDonald's. You're like, hey, can I be a manager? And they're like, no, you have no managerial experience. Well, shit. But we'll take you on as a fry cook. So you take it. Who's the guy that got the managerial job? The guy with managerial experience. And this is true at every level. It's not like there's anyone that's protected from that. There's a few industries that are recession-proof. Ironically, the legal industry is recession-proof. Studies indicate that when the economics of things are good, people sue a lot less because it's not worth their time. But when recessions happen, people sue far more because they're on a financial lifeline and hoping to get lucky. So the lawyers tend to make more money during the recession than they do during the good times. But then the good times, cost of living is cheaper. And so, lawyers always end up on top. Anyway, but no, and so you need that resume. And it's hard if you're a young kid growing up during a recession because nobody's hiring. So how the hell are you supposed to get something on a resume, right? When I was a kid, there's a clever trick to this. Clever way out. It's a little thing that really only people in the United States do. It's very clever. A lot of people have done this. I've done this. It's called creating your own job. Yeah, I didn't think of that one, did you? Creating your own job can be damn near anything, honestly. Let me. It's like 78 degrees in here, which isn't bad because it's 104 outside and it's nighttime, but still, it's kind of hot in here. I was thinking I should adjust the AC, but I don't. That's all right. That's okay. It's fine. Yeah. The thing is, so I was able to get good jobs. My during my undergrad college time, and I'm probably going to get good jobs during law school as well. The reason that's the case is because of what I did during high school and before high school. I had a little sales gig. If you've ever been in the bougie part of neighborhoods, you'll notice that sometimes on the curb in front of the houses, they have painted their house numbers. I was the guy that painted those, right? And first of all, I paid really well. I mean, I would literally make $150 working over 3 hours. I mean, it's still the highest paying job I've ever had, honestly, to this day. I don't do it anymore because you can really only do it during the summer, and it's a limited market, and you got paint on your hands and paint on your face, and paint. You got to wear the mask all the time. It's got its problems, and it's not really something you want to do for super long. But I did that for about 7 years, from when I was 12. I guess we really started doing it in full swing when I was 14. From when I was 12 to when I was about 19-ish. And I put that on my resume. It's actually still on my resume. And so basically what happened is I graduated high school and I needed a job to make ends meet during college. And it was like a month until college started. I was still living with my parents, which was nice. So I didn't have as many bills to pay. But I needed to pay my tuition because loans, like one of the conditions of living with my parents was no loans. And which I think is a perfectly fair condition to put on your kids. And so I needed a job. And there was a library job. There was a job at the library, and there was a job at the call center. The call center is where you just called alumni, and you just begged them for money, basically. And it's kind of funny. They actually spent more money paying me to do that job than they pulled in on donations. So that's kind of funny. Anyway, I was not a good choice of employee, I suppose. But this was 2018. No, I'm sorry. This was 2017. This was like right after Trump got inaugurated. Anyway, so I applied for this library job, which I ended up working for a full year. And I still think fondly of that job, although the one librarian that still remembers me didn't like me, so that was kind of annoying. But I got the cushy job that let me do my homework. And that was a very competitive job. And the thing that made the difference was the fact that when all these other college kids had never worked a day in their life, I had been working since I was a teenager. But a wee lad, right? And I was self-motivated. That's a big deal. When you're in high school, okay, employers are looking for 2 arms and 2 legs to do a job. That's really it, okay? But they don't want to have to tell those 2 arms and 2 legs what to do all the damn time. It's very irritating for them. I briefly, when I was 16, had a job at Village Inn, which is basically IHOP but classier, kind of, like slightly classier. I was the dishwasher, and I had a boss. His name was Kellogg. I fucking hate Kellogg. Kellogg, his management policy was to bully and harass every new recruit for the first 4 months. That's not an exaggeration or a joke. He had it marked on his calendar. 3 months and 3 weeks in, I quit. And I told him it was because you bully and harass me. And he said, well, sad to see you go. You should stay. You're making a huge mistake by not giving me 2 weeks notice. I gave him 3 days notice. It was far more than anyone else ever gave him. But just so you were clear, I was going to stop bullying you on, it was like June whatever. And I was like, I don't care. Goodbye. And his stated reason, and this was probably also true, some of the other managers got on me as well, his stated reason for that was because I didn't work fast enough. Now, at the time, This was my first real job, and I had never worked as a dishwasher before, so I had to learn everything. I didn't have a lot of arm strength at the time, so I couldn't really scrub very well. So I got yelled at a lot. But basically, they didn't want to have to tell these 2 arms and 2 legs what to do. So you come to the library, come time for the job fair, sort of the impromptu interview. And I basically tell them, look, I'm self-motivated. It's on my resume. It's not just on my resume, but here's proof of it. Here's me going out, self-employing, and making a lot of money. Hire me. And they did. And they did. And that's really what people are looking for. At every job I've ever applied to, that is really what people are looking for. I applied to Walmart, which I don't recommend. But we're in a recession, so you might be desperate. And Walmart hired me on the spot. The Walmart that I had applied to actually wasn't having labor issues. They had like 2 spots open in the whole store. It was a big ass store. But they hired me on the spot because I came in a suit and tie. Because nobody wears a suit and tie at Walmart. Ever. Like, I found out 6 months later that literally everyone in the store heard about the weirdo that came in the suit and tie. Nobody knew that it was me. But like, I was BSing with some of the overnight stalkers one night, and they were talking about how their manager told them about this weirdo that came in a suit and tie. It's like, oh yeah, that was me. Like, because and that shouldn't be rare. It's a job interview. That shouldn't be rare that people are coming in a suit and tie, because a suit and tie is showing, which obviously I'm not wearing right now, but a suit and tie is showing I am here to get serious and to get shit done, right? And at Walmart, nobody's there to be serious and get shit done. People are there for a paycheck. They move their arms for a couple hours. They take a lunch break the other couple hours, and then they complain that the 1% makes all the money. But it was unusual in that environment to express any sort of motivation or ambition. And, on my resume, I didn't have Amoeba Doctor yet. In fact, I actually started AmoebaDoctor.com the day after I got hired at Walmart, if memory. It might have been the day or the week after, but I started, I wasn't sure, should I take this Walmart job? I don't know. I'm starting a website. And, but anyway, and I have AmoebaDoctor.com on my resume, because here's something interesting about me. Here's a serious, good website that I do for fun, But anyway, you got to have shit on your resume that actually should be there. Because think about it like this, okay? So, high school students, okay? Let's say that let me face the camera a little bit more. We'll say that from, I don't have anything long. My left hand, this hand right here, is nothing on your resume at all. And my right hand is having a lot of crap on your resume. Like you're fucking Elon Musk, okay? You're the CEO. All right? Most high school students are on my left hand. Okay? The bottom 98% of high school students are at my left hand. Because what are they doing? Oh, here's my GPA in high school. You think an employer gives a shit about your GPA? Nobody gives a fuck about your GPA. They don't care about your sports. They don't care about your clubs. Colleges do. And maybe you were in a club that's relevant. Maybe there was a mechanic shop or something. That's you, because then you're going and working at the car place. Okay, that'll be relevant. But 95 times out of 100, nobody gives a shit. All right? But you have to have it on your resume, because if you turn in a resume that's blank, people think you're an idiot. So most high schoolers are right here. They're on your left hand, on my left hand. Okay. All you're doing is you're going from here to here by putting something on your resume. That's it. Just and you might think, well, come on, doc, that's nothing, right? What are you doing? You just here to here, really? Come on, that's bullshit, right? The thing is, when you go from here to here, you just passed 98% of high school students. That's right. 98% of high school students, because you are self-motivated. And I know it's a pain in the ass having to go do your 8 to 3 high school thing and then whatever activities and clubs and all that, and then going and doing something else, which is why I don't really, unless it's for college purposes, I don't really recommend doing activities and clubs or sports, even for that matter. Physical fitness is fine. Like, I recommend physical fitness. But like, you should go do something that is unique and original. You know, people can spot passion. They can't explicitly do it, but they can implicitly do it. And if you go do something that's actually passionate, that you actually enjoy, that makes a big fucking difference. If you're into photography, get a portfolio together. Okay? If you're into, I don't know, if you're into fucking Amiibo or something like that, I don't know, make a website, shit like that, right? College students, undergrad students, especially undergrad students, are the same way. Because undergrad students typically also haven't been working. A few of them have had a part-time job. Like, that's a little bit more common in undergrad. But undergrad students pretty much all have the same resume. Here's my high school GPA. Here's a part-time job I worked at some point. Here's my undergrad. I got cum laude in, pick an undergrad degree, honestly. Because the undergrad degree is kind of a high school degree these days. Just a lot more expensive, right? And they don't have anything else, really. They'll put some projects on there. They'll be like, oh, look, my project was so wonderful. I won an award. Some shit like that, right? But employers don't give a shit about your activities and clubs. It doesn't change if you're an undergrad, you know, unless it's relevant to the job, right? What they do give a shit about is, are you a self-motivator? Goes all the way back to the beginning. What was I talking about? I was talking about being a self-motivator. Are you a self-motivator? Because a self-motivator will have hobbies and passions, and he'll go be doing those as well. He'll be a well-rounded person who has experience in a variety of things. That's part of being self-motivated. One of the things that got me into, I got into my law school because I was double majoring at my state university with like a 3.5 GPA, roughly. Okay. And I got a scholarship just based on that alone. But I was talking with the admissions counselor, and I was like, what made me stand out from everyone else? And she was like, well, it was actually the other stuff that you did. Because everyone came from your university. I mean, it's kind of a feeder college into our law school, you know. Or at least I think like a third of the class did. And a lot of them got economics degrees or finance degrees or both. It's not that many, it's kind of rare. But a lot of them came from a business school of some kind, right? You're unique because of everything else. You used to be a children's church pastor. You have a website. I visited your website, she was saying to me. I visited your website. It's very cool. I don't understand it, but it's very cool. And it looks really nice. And you write well. I was like, oh, thank you. She was like, and that's why we gave you the scholarship, right? And so it's that extra 10%. It's that extra display of, I'm a self-motivator, right? And you will find that if you put in that extra 10%, if you put in that extra notch on your resume, if you put in what's the word? You just put in a little bit of fucking effort. Just 10% more effort than the typical, right? 10% more effort than the expected. Then you'll find that opportunities just explode out of your butthole. I mean, just all the time. Like, it's just everywhere. Like, so literally, okay, so this is funny. So, after I graduated, I was already committed to go to law school. Before I ever graduated with my undergrad. But when I went to my LinkedIn profile and I updated my resume to show that I had graduated, economics, finance, yada, 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 and I fed my resume into the machine, the LinkedIn AI, notified recruiters. And so what happened was I woke up the next day to 15, might have been more, but we'll say 15 job offers at mid-level finance firms. Because they were like, oh shit, here's a guy with econ and finance. And granted, this university just pushed out like 200 economics undergraduates and like 120 finance graduates and like 30 that did both. Okay, so like here's a pool of 30 kids that are local that we can just pay. Okay, we'll offer them a job. But then I actually called up one of the recruiters, and I basically told him, I just told you, 200, 120, 30, right? I was like, why'd you pick me? You know what he said? He said, look, we have our pick of the litter of economics and finance undergraduates from your school, which wasn't really true because they were like on the lower rung. But he said the reason that we have shelled out the money to personally mail you, because he sent me a LinkedIn invite, and then I decided to call him after he personally mailed me. I never intended to accept his offer, but I wanted to ask him some questions. The reason we decided to personally mail you and to spend that expense is because you're a more well-rounded person. Everybody else put their awards and clubs, my words on his, their awards and clubs on their resume, put their GPA on the resume. We don't give a shit about the resume, okay? We wanted well-rounded, flexible people who were self-motivated. And I said, okay, well, thank you for telling me that. And, in a conversation. The running theme in all of this is that self-motivated people who do the extra 10% get all the good shit in the world. All the good shit in the world. just all of it, okay? You know how many hours the average 1%er works per week? $48. He works 48 hours in a week. Now, if you take doctors out of that equation, because many doctors, doctors and lawyers out of that equation, because institutionally you kind of have to work like 70 hours a week. Okay, so you take them out of the equation. We're talking about everybody else, not a doctor and a lawyer, who's in the 1%. Right? They work 45 hours a week. The average 40-hour work week plus 10% is 44 hours. So they're like slightly more than 10% over the average population. That's it. You know how much a 1%er makes? About $400K a year, which is not that much. I mean, the politicians would have you believe that these are all like billionaires just living it up all the time. That's not the case at all. But $400K a year sounds pretty damn good, but they're all highly educated, or they they did like 70 hours a week during their youth and started a business, and that business succeeded, right? But either way, getting to that point and staying there, 10% more, Now there's case studies, and I did kind of just admit that you have to work your ass off in your youth and start a business and say, and I'm talking about employers, right? Employers want the extra percent, they want the self-motivated people, right? But the 10% rule is generally pretty true as well. Sometimes it's more than that, but it's not much more than that, I found. So anyway, if you want to be employed during a recession, that's how you do it. Put in that extra 10%, put it on your resume, make it interesting, make it useful, show that you're self-motivated. So